Alrighty then. So, I have two stories to tell again for October 23rd's video. So, the first one is my own story, and then the second one, I have another story from my best friend. So, basically, my story is I believe that I saw the Grim Reaper while I was at the movie theater. So, when It Chapter 2 came out, my parents and my sister and I went to go see it in the movie theater. And I don't want to say like scared to be in the movie theater or like a chicken or anything, but I'm a lot more aware ever since the theater shooting happened. And so the slightest move anywhere just like grabs my attention immediately, and so I'm just kind of like, oh. And in the movie that happened, it looked like someone had like got up and was like walking into the aisle or whatever to go to the back doors, because the way that the theater was set up is the doors are here, but then all of the chairs are like right here, so you could see the door if you turned around, and then the screen's at the front. And so because that person, stood up or whatever, I looked over in that direction only to see that there was no one even over there. Because the room was practically empty. There was only like a handful of us who were seeing the movie. So there was no one over there. There wasn't a person who was walking down the aisle. Instead, there was a dark shadow just standing in the middle of a chair, like in the middle of the chairs and stuff. And he was looking in my direction, and he didn't have a face. He looked like he had like a long like black robe or whatever. And I was looking at him, and then it was kind of like one of those where, oh, you think you see something, so you look over there, and then you realize, oh, it's nothing, so you look away, and then you're like, wait a minute, yes, there was, let me look back over there again. And then all of a sudden, when you look, it's gone. That's kind of what it was. I noticed it, I looked at it, saw what I saw, looked back at the screen, and was like, was that what I think it was? And I looked back, and it was not there anymore. So I was like, okay, well, I'm watching a scary movie. Maybe I'm just like creeping, getting, psyched out or whatever. Not too long after that is when Oreo passed away. And so I feel like I'm Oreo's owner. And, obviously he was really sick. We all knew that. So I feel like he appeared to me as like, hey, this thing's happening. Prepare yourself. So yeah, before I cry, let's move on to the second story. So this is my best friend's story. So I typed it all out again because she told me the story, so I'm basically gonna read through what she has told me. So Janaea was a freshman in high school, and her sisters were at their friend's house and her parents were at work. So she was the only one at home, and her mom wanted her to do the laundry. So she was in her room doing homework. She was sitting at like the one of the edges of her bed, and she was doing math homework. And she describes herself as very lazy. And when it comes to doing like chores and stuff, she's like a master procrastinator and one of those people who will put it off till the very last second. And she's also, this is also important because I remember her later on telling me about this. She's also one of those people that when her mom calls her, she doesn't hear them when like the doors closed and stuff. So she had a curtain put up on the outside of her door so that even when her door is open, it appears that it's closed. So that she can hear, but then still have the outside not in. Does that make sense? Okay. So, that's later on, and it may not even be in the story, I just remembered it, so I went ahead and told it. So, she's in her room doing her math homework, and she randomly, out of nowhere, remembers, oh, I have to do the laundry. So, she goes to the basement to do her laundry, and the walls and the floor in her basement was cement and wooden panels, as her basement was unfinished. She usually brings slippers when she goes down there because the floor is cold and everything. But she did not do that this time. And so while she was down there, her feet suddenly started to itch really badly. And so she looks down, and they are completely covered in ants. Now, she absolutely hates bugs. She gets really grossed out, really freaked out, gets itchy, and like she just like doesn't want to have anything to do with them. So she starts to freak out when she sees this. And she was wearing some long, baggy pants. So in her head, if they're on her feet, then they're on her pants. So she takes her pants off and goes immediately up the stairs. She doesn't even start the laundry. Like, she has everything, like, in the washing machine, but she never actually, like, presses any buttons because the whole ants. So she left her pants and she ran up the stairs. And so now she's at the top of the stairs, and when you're directly at the top of the stairs, you can't see her room. Like, you have to actually like walk around and go into the hallway to be able to see her room. But when she got to the top of the stairs, you she could hear a sound coming from her room. And so this is where the curtains come in. So she had the curtains hanging up and they were closed. So she couldn't see into her room even though she was walking towards it. But the closer to her room she got, the louder the noise was. So she was like, oh my god, what is that? Do do do. She described the sound like it was a whooshing sound. And so when she reached the door, she took a peek inside and she saw that her fan was looking a bit weird. And so she was like, okay, so it must be the fan that's making the sound. So she turned off the fan, but then turned the light part of the fan on so that she could see what was going on. And so if you look at the ceiling fan, there's 2 screws holding up the blades. Well, one of her screws on one of the blades was missing. And so the fan was like, the blade was dangling off and hitting the other blades. And she looked around for the nail or the screw and she couldn't find it. So she was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to finish my homework. So she gets back on the bed, and not only does she see a dent in the wall, but she also finds, the missing screw. And so to her, she was like, okay, well, the fact that I randomly remembered to do my laundry and left, and then suddenly this happens, it literally was, it flew off in her direction. So had she been sitting there when it happened, it would have hit her in the head or on the shoulder or whatever. And it was obviously fast enough to leave a dent in the wall, so she seriously could have been injured by that. So she found it kind of pretty cool, freaky cool that she automatically, or randomly, not automatically, she randomly thought of, oh, the laundry. And then thinking that, she was like, oh, I still have to do the laundry. So she went downstairs to finish the laundry and get her pants, and she didn't see a single ant. Like, she went from a million ants to not a single one in sight. So she believes that she hallucinated the ants, and that was all a decoy to get her out of her room when the nail, or when the screw came off the fan blade and threw it across the room. So yeah. So that's the end of those two little stories. So now, yeah, the end. If you are enjoying my stories, you check out the October playlist that I have. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.